Good thing. Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. 9th of September. If we can call the order, got 6:03. You can stand for a moment of silence. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic. Call roll.
Member Rapid,
Here.
Member Johns,
Here.
Member Mayor,
Here.
Member Sharp,
Here.
and Member Hemingway.
Here. And we've got approval of minutes. Got the July 23rd BZA minutes. We also have the August 12th BZA minutes. Any discussion? Everybody got reviewed? Any comments? Need a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from July and August.
I'll second. Second. Further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Mendoza, call roll.
Member Rapid,
Yes.
Member Johns,
Yes.
Member Mayor,
Yes.
Member Sharp.
Yes.
And Member Hemingway.
Yes. Yeah, we've got preliminary hearing for BZA 25-007 developmental standard variance. Emma O'Brien of Legacy Signs request variance for table 26-6.701.B, wall sign specific standards, dimensions, sign size, and tables 26-6.701.B, wall sign specific standards, additional standards, 40 auditorium entrance sign at Munster High School located at 8808 Columbia Avenue. Mr. Mendoza, go us in.
Sure. The Munster High School is looking to replace their existing sign over their auditorium entrance. They are proposing to add a new face to this existing sign here, which would read the Munster High School Performing Arts Center. They're proposing to cover the existing limestone triangle that's embedded into the wall of the building. Our code reads that architectural elements should not be covered. In this case, they're proposing to do a flat panel with push-through acrylic, internally lit with the logo of the Mustang. And so they are here this evening to seek a variance to cover that architectural standard, architectural detail per our sign standards. And so this is a preliminary hearing. We'll be scheduled for a public hearing.
Any questions from the board? None.
Make motion set for public hearing.
Have a motion on the floor for public hearing. Do I have support?
I'll second that.
Second. Further discussion? Hearing none, call roll.
Mr. Rappin,
Yes.
sorry, Member Johns,
Yes.
Member Mayor,
Yes.
Member Sharp,
Yes.
and Member Hemingway.
Yes. Okay. We have a public hearing now for BZA 25-006 developmental standard variance. Keenan Asila requesting a variance for table 26-6.405.A-2 district standard private landscaping and fencing to install a fence in the front yard of his corner lot property located at 1020 Cornwallis Lane. Mr. Mendoza, any further questions, comments?
Sure, I can add some additional comments to this. The applicant was here last month. They are seeking a variance to encroach into the front yard of their property. Let's see. And so the way our code reads is this is their front yard based on the definitions. What's peculiar about the property is that it is a peninsula lot. Our current code does not address peninsula lots. And so we did the best we could. What's the file number of that one? Six. There we go. Thank you. There we go. You can see the lot within the subdivision is a peninsula lot in the sense that it is sited on 3 sides of the lot with a public right of way. They are requesting to install a fence based on our interpretation of our zoning code. This is identified as their front yard along Cobblestone Road, and then further description on the definitions identified this as their side yard, which is where the home faces the front there. Leaving this as their rear yard. And so what they are proposing is to install a fence along the green dotted line that you see there. And they're asking a variance to encroach into what this yellow part would be, is they're identified as a front yard. That is what, is here for.
What it was before.
I did on the building materials, will they comply with the covenants? With regard to the covenants and the building materials?
They will need to comply with the current zoning code. Covenants will be enforced by the homeowners.
But the town's not a party to them. They don't have the ability to enforce.
Mr. Chairman, is petitioners here?
Petitioners here to speak on this.
Yes.
You want to come up and go to the podium, sign in, name and address, and then let us know who you are and your address.
Hi, everyone. My name is Keegan Casala. The homeowner of this property here on 1020 Cornwallis Lane. What we're looking to do here, the way that the code has been defined is it's actually, as you look at my property, it's classifying the front yard right in front of my front door as I believe it's a side yard, as you see here. The front yard, as you're coming in on cobblestones, that the entry into the subdivision, they're classifying that what's really the side yard as a front yard, and then my rear yard as my front yard. So I just want to be clear that it says front yard, but that's the way that the code has defined it. And as you're looking at my home, it's not a fence in the front yard, rather the backyard, but the way that the code's defined it, it's classifying it as a front yard. But happy to answer any questions that's.
Mr. Chairman, I have some questions. First of all, welcome to Cobblestone. Dan and I both live in Cobblestone. I got approached by several homeowners after this went to public hearing Looking at your fence being 12 foot off the curb line, obviously, it's the main entrance to Cobblestone. And when you go to the houses that are to the north, they're all set back off the curb line, 25 and 30 feet. So there were several people concerned by changing this as a side yard, you lose the green space, and now you're looking at a fence right close to the curb line or at all green space. Would you consider it moving it in line with the two houses that are to your north?
So you're proposing an additional 13 feet or so.
Yes. Yeah, to match the other ones that are down.
If it was an ultimatum, that would be a consideration for sure. Just to match. One thing I will call out though is, I believe, so the houses that you're referring to, I believe all of those have sidewalks, so I do think there was some kind of rule of thumb they were following there based off a sidewalk, but I think it's a little bit different given, that entryway there is no sidewalk, it's straight off of the.
But there's also a landscape berm on both sides that sets everything back, and I think the fence is set back on Cobblestone Drive on top of that berm higher, right?
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I
which
got
is-
you.
and
I get what you're
farther
saying.
out, right?
Yep,
So it doesn't come out farther than the entrance
yep,
fencing, right?
yeah, I get what you're saying. That's a fair ask. That's something
It just would be in line driving the main entrance there. You're the only fence.
yeah,
right?
no, that makes perfect sense.
That was it. That's all I had. That's what some residents were.
Any other questions? Okay. This time we'll open for public hearing, BZA 25-006. Anyone in the audience would like to comment on that, please step to the podium and name and address. Going twice, anybody commenting on that? Third time, this time we'll close public hearing, bring it back to the board. Further comments?
And Dan, to answer your question, it was an open fence, wrought iron clearance fence that they presented for after the association.
Great.
Like I said, I just had some comments, like I said, from other residents that reached out after they saw the public hearing, that was their comments, which made sense to me as well. Yeah, in your opinion, you're right around the corner from there.
Bring it back to the board, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve BZA 25-006 with the setback that Mr. Rappin presented, which is what, 20 feet off of the building line?
I think it was 25, 32 fences, but I would just match the sight line, or, one's 5 feet out than the other one. As long as the sight line's matched out there, I'm good with 25 or 30.
What he said.
We have a motion on the floor, do I hear support?
I'll second.
We have a second, any further discussion?
Mr. President, I ask for some clarification on, for the record, on exactly what you're talking about. I know there's discussion, 25 feet, 30 feet,
From
that we
curb,
heard,
curb line, from curb line.
curb line, that was sight line.
Yeah,
Just to
so it's
clarify
off,
what
it's
you're
off a
saying.
curb line off Cobblestone Drive. That's that, 25.
You have that specified?
Yes, thank you.
Mendoza, call roll.
Member Raffin,
Yes.
member Johns,
Yes,
member Mayor,
Yes,
member Sharp,
Yes.
and member Hemingway.
Yes. Thank you, if you could work with Mr. Mendoza on that, that clarifies and finalize, thank you. No continuing items, we have a finding of fact for BZA 25-004, use variance, Andrew Barissos of Precision Control Systems. Review an unfavorable recommendation for the variance for table 26-6.405.A-6 district standards, principal use light industrial use category to allow a building system / construction business to use 10350 Calumet Avenue. We have more comments on that? Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve these findings of fact.
we have a motion on the floor. May I have a second?
second.
We have a second from Ms. Mayor. Further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Mendoza?
Member Raffin,
Yes.
member Johns,
yes,
member Mayor,
Yes,
member Sharp,
Yes.
and member Hemingway.
Yes. We have other business For us here, we have BZA 25-005, administrative appeal from Frank District of Munster resident of 8515 Greenwood Avenue, requesting an appeal of the town's determination of table 26-6.405.A-3 district standard, private landscaping and fencing, and the table 26-6.405.A-1 district standard screen for the use of the tarp structure at 8031 Greenwood Avenue. Here last meeting. Those of you want to.
Sure, I'll give a brief update. This is a continuation of last month's discussion. The applicant is seeking interpretation and appeal from the town attorney's review of a fence and screen discussion or matter between two residents. And so this is the continued discussion of that.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question. At the last meeting, I think the end result was one of the town council members indicated to allow a month for the town to review the situation. Has anything happened on that, Sergio?
My understanding is that the town council president has been in communication with the town attorney on that.
This, as I had addressed last month, is in the complete rewrite that we're doing of the zoning code, obviously, is addressing this discrepancy and the numerous others that are obviously in the zoning code, not only provisions from one section to another within the zoning code, but also within the zoning code compared to other sections of the municipal code. So this is absolutely has already been redrafted in the sense to clarify this definition so that we don't have basically terms pointing, at each other that in this specific situation, a fence is a screen and a screen is a fence, and then one has regulations and the other doesn't. So it clearly is going to be addressed with the revisions in the zoning code, which are, anticipated to happen, later this year. So it is absolutely contemplated and absolutely, something with that rewrite. Is it happening right now? No, because obviously this is an all-encompassing project. So it's not being done in that sense of just addressing a single section. It's addressing the global zoning code. But it's absolutely addressed as part of the.
Any other questions from the board? Any other further questions or comments, Mr. Mendoza? You have a representation here that say something? Can you identify yourself?
Yeah, Frank Fisher, 8015 Greenwood Avenue. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Mr. Raffin, you indicated at the last hearing you wanted to continue this matter. You were supposed to have a discussion with Mr. Schinkin. Did that occur?
Well, I believe that was also to discuss and get other information from staff that
Oh,
to
okay.
make sure I was informed. I was trying to learn what was going on in this whole situation, which, as Ms. Bennett said, what is the fence, what is the screening, what's our current code, what's the code the town is looking to adopt at the end of the year that would address situations like this.
All right, very
Because we
good.
have to file, obviously, there's a legal form that we have to file, and what's in here is the interpretation of the code, which is kind of what explain, better.
No, I understand. Okay, I've outlined my position pretty adequately in my written narrative. I'm not going to waste your time and go over that again. I will add one thing that I did not include in my written narrative. And this is for the record because the code defines a screen as a building, wall or fence constructed of an opaque material or evergreen hedge used to block an item or condition from view from a vantage point as required by this article. And this article refers to Article 6. There is no requirement in Article 6 for a screen between residential yards. So I just wanted to add that to get that on the record because that's not included in my written narrative. I would ask this board to make the determination that the structure that is erected between our properties is a fence and should be regulated as such. Thank you.
Thank you. If you entered your name and no address on there, we greatly appreciate that. Okay, bring it back to the board. Motion at this time.
I would like to
Yeah.
speak.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here's a police report, multiple police reports. These are also, this is the letter from the lawyer. Attached is also what the fencing looks like and the receipt that it is called. Today with me, I also have my two young children, yes.
I'll have you step to the microphone, name and rec before, so otherwise you'll have to do it all again, all right?
I'm so happy to do so. I believe this is where you would step. Again, my name is Lauren Teal. I am the homeowner at 8031 Greenwood Avenue alongside my husband, Sam Primo. I also have my young children with me and my parents. So good evening. Why the privacy screen was installed? The privacy screen was installed only after repeated harassment from the residents at 8015. My family and I felt we were being constantly watched. Cameras were placed and pointed directly at our yard after this neighbor chose to escalate. We also experienced what we perceived as deliberate intimidation. The male resident began working out daily in his driveway overlooking our side yard where our children play. My children reported to myself and my husband that it felt intimidating. And as parents, we felt that way too. Since our privacy screening was installed, that odd behavior has stopped. This is not just a personal opinion. It is documented in police reports. One report notes that my sons were called wusses. And then later, my husband and I found out that they were being called additional names. On top of my youngest hearing, the gentleman at 8015 called my husband a bitch, loud enough for him to hear it and tell us about it. Because of the name calling and intimidation, it felt more crucial that we put this privacy screen up as soon as possible to protect our children and restore peace in our own yard. Another report records abusive language shouted toward my family, the bitch. The demonstrations, a pattern of harassment, not an escalated disagreement. The screen was reviewed multiple times by the town staff, Nicole, Kim, and Holly, and each time we received the green light. Town legal counsel prepared a letter to the resident at 8015 confirming that our privacy screen is permitted under the current zoning code. Each of you is getting that letter. That letter also makes clear that there is no height limit for privacy screenings under current code. Until zoning changes are formally made, we remain in full compliance. In your packet, you will also see a photo of a black screen showing it secured on a property line, even in the wind, proving it does not extend onto the neighbor's property. This photo was taken yesterday, September 8th. A photo of the beige screen that is currently installed, also taken yesterday, Monday, September 8th. And the purchase receipts confirming that it's a professional privacy screen, not a tarp or makeshift covering. Why this is necessary? This has never been presented as a permanent solution. We understand that zoning rules are being reviewed, and when our family is in a strong place, we will move forward with a different type of barrier. But at the time, this was the most cost-effective and immediate protection we could provide. My husband has been traveling for work. I'm recovering from a stress-induced mini stroke, TIA, and my children no longer felt comfortable playing outside. Since the screen went up, there have been no further problems, proving that it works. This harassment has damaged our family's well-being, caused repeated police involvement, and has even affected nearby neighbors who also stopped hosting gatherings because they felt watched and intimidated by the same household. This is a clear pattern that harms the community. I am a homeowner, a mother, a community leader here in the arts in Munster, Indiana. My children attend school here, and I am investing in building this community. Munster should be a place where families feel safe and in their yards, schools, and neighborhoods. We have done everything right, followed the town's direction, and the town's own legal counsel has confirmed our compliance. This screen is temporary, necessary, and effective. I respectfully ask the board to deny this appeal, uphold the town's prior determination, and allow my family the basic dignity of privacy, peace, and safety at our home. Thank you.
You? Is there anyone else like to speak?
I'm not gonna address any of that, because that's utter ridiculousness. This is about the zoning code, it's not about personal grievances, and I could stay here for an hour after hour negating everything that she said. I'm not even gonna get on it. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry that this forum was subject to such ridiculousness. That's all I have to say on that. The wage discrimination.
Thank you.
Ms. Bennett, as we're doing codes, and obviously technology is ever changing when it comes to ring doorbells and cameras and everything else. More and more people are putting them off. I mean, under safeguards to make sure it's covering your property line and not going in other people's yards, that kind of stuff. I don't know what the state law says about that in the future, but it might be worth something looking into, as regarding your codes. Now, personally looking at this, I mean, you've given your legal opinion. I'm not an attorney. I pretend to be one. All I can do is look at what you're stating legally based on our current code, the options that we have. The options that we have, as you explained earlier, was we have to follow the code. The code is worked on being rewritten, but as of right now, this body doesn't have the authority to really overturn staff's legal position based on the current law that we have. Am I correct on that?
As the zoning board, by law, you have the right to appeal, or I'm sorry, the right to review and make determinations on staff decisions. In a typical situation, right, if an appeal had been filed to you sooner, I would have been giving you this opinion at a public meeting or in a meeting prior to, or I'm sorry, after the appeal had been filed. In this particular situation, the appellant here, Mr. Zisser, am I saying your name correctly?
Zisher.
Zisher, I apologize.
No, that's quite all
Had
right.
requested an opinion in writing from me, so that's why that was issued first. You all took an oath, and you're bound by the terms of the code. Unfortunately, whether you like it or I like it, that is the law. And as poorly written as it is in many places, that's the process that we are constantly trying to correct, right? When there are inconsistencies, then we have to reconcile those inconsistencies. And as I stated last month, as I stated in my letter to Mr. Zitcher, is the fact that you're bound by these definitions. In that respect, as I already stated, whether it's something on first sight, it's alike or it's not, the definitions in the local ordinance are what the law are for this town. In reconciling those definitions, I can assure you this, as you've heard from the lady, this has been an ongoing situation, something that significant amount of time and attention was put to in consideration of all parties, and trying to pull out the 10 or 12 different places in this ordinance. When a conflict presents itself in the law, we are required to then go to common terms that are defining things. That's why in the letter I referenced what these are described in public, how they are described on what was purchased. To fit into what is those common understandings. So you have the ability to go outside the ordinances when the document itself does not give a clear answer. But in response to a specific question, not to annihilate or obliterate what is the law. It still has to be reconciled together. And sometimes it's just bad law. And I would propose to you that's what we have here. I don't believe that the drafters back in 2019 anticipated that there would be conflicts in some of these terms. But where this became very clear for me legally, and please remember, my response to anything is liability to the town. Not to me, and quite frankly, not to any one of you individually, but what the town faces in acting incorrectly, acting illegally on something. The town's requirement is to propose their ordinances and then follow them. What they enforce or don't enforce, there is great discretion in that by the town. There are some circumstances in which these are obligations for health and safety. But otherwise, as I had referenced last month, the town also has immunity in their prosecution and lack thereof of any code. So I understand, and this was my point also in addressing to Mr. Zichert here on the application of these ordinances. Even, and the typical appeal is not coming from someone who didn't like the action taken on a neighbor. Typically, it would have been the person who erected this fence or was told to take it down, that didn't want to ask them for an appeal. Because they want you to overturn the stack and put it back up, not the lack of doing something on somebody else's property. In this situation, the town's, if viewed by a court, I propose to you that the town's review and interpretation on this and agreement or acquiescence in having it be left up or failure to have it removed is covered by that immunity, even if there was something that code enforcement hadn't done. I know that seems a little cumbersome, a little confusing, but it unfortunately it winds up being kind of a no-win situation for Mr. Zichert. I apologize, I know I'm messing your name in this situation, but that's the law. And so in the requesting for you to review this, even in making an alternative determination, does not put an end to this. You still have the person that then you are imposing in telling take this down because we don't like it. And if there are legal grounds there that are challenging in the language of why this is being told to be taken down, when in the definitions I propose to you, it meets the definition of a screen and there are no regulations for the screen, that is putting the town at risk of liability. I can't say it any clearer than that. Which is why I voiced my opinion and laid out in much greater detail than I ever would have in most situations where I'm providing an opinion, the reasons why. And quite frankly, to the effect that it is in the drafting of what was done in 2019. And I'm very sorry to everybody that this causes these confusions, but it's what we're stuck with. And I propose to you, in my legal opinion, for the town to do anything different is putting this town at a risk. whether you or I like it on the appearance or otherwise, or what is the backstory. As much as I appreciate everybody here and giving their positions and opinions, as a lawyer on this, I can't take those backstories into consideration. I am bound by that document. And that is what I can relate to you. And again, back to your original question, then it falls on you as the authority in reviewing. As I indicated, you got the legal opinion before this, or before coming here, but in what staff's original determination was, is that this was a screen, and you have that authority to alter that. But I advise as counsel to you and to this town that you follow my opinion, you follow the language of these agreements, and affirm the town's decision, the town's interpretation of the code.
Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry that, and we don't get many cases like this brought up in front of us. It's shameful and sad that two neighbors can't get along. I'm not gonna be on my soapbox, because I'm fortunate that I have neighbors I get along with. But regarding your screen stuff, it's not the best look, and if that went all over everywhere on town, it wouldn't be the best look for the town of Munster, to be honest with you. So I could see where, and I don't know the history between you, I just have what was presented tonight. But obviously, you know that we're working towards a code, so these items will not be allowed in town because it's not a precedent that we want to further set down the road. But that being said, what Ms. Bennett said, as legal counsel for the town of Munster, and the liability that can be brought upon the town of Munster based on this issue until the new code's rewritten. I don't see that this board has any authority or really better insight to not uphold. Not that it's not a good law towards that, but it's not that we have.
I've got a question. You yourself in your presentation said that solution was not ideal and not permanent.
Yes.
With disregarding the existing code and the rest of it as it stands, what is your plan for that in the timeline?
Well, as soon as things do calm down in our household and my husband is home, he travels a lot, and it's been about 3 weeks out of the month. And I'm still recovering from a mini stroke that I had in July. So ultimately, my health has not been great. We have close to a half acre that we're trying to manage with a young family, and I have 2 businesses. So with that, we knew that we just had to do a short-term situation. So we do plan on putting up a nicer fence, as we do have nicer fences in the back and on the side as well. And we do plan on doing something, that this is what we need right now so that everyone feels comfortable at our home.
Do you have an estimate? Are you looking at doing that by the end of the year, by next spring?
I would say by early spring, we plan on doing that. Yep. We also do understand it is not the best look. So we do agree with that.
This isn't a debate.
Right, I was just gonna point out, I don't know why they couldn't put up 100 feet of vinyl fence that I gave them.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you guys so much. I truly do appreciate it.
Bring back to the board. Further questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to affirm the determination of Westland Bennett's legal review dated June 25th, 2025, regarding the subject matter title investigation of tarp structure 831 Cleveland Avenue. Response to request for written confirmation of discussions and findings, and I encourage Ms. Bennett to be working on the code and these issues.
We have a motion on the floor. We have support for that.
Give a second.
And a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Mendoza?
Member Rathman,
Yes.
Member Johns,
Yes.
Member Mayor,
Yes.
Member Sharp,
Yes.
and Member Hemingway.
Abstain. Okay. That's all for tonight. Their next regular meeting is October 14th, 2025. Do I hear a motion for adjournment? So, 6:42. Thank you.
Nothing them. But like a fire base.
That you can, that, see that for Sunday.
Not the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, white. No.
But I don't want It's the battery. Yeah, but he wasn't.
We're ready to go, Denise?
Get over there.
Okay. You let me know.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. All right, folks, I'm gonna call this meeting of the Plan Commission for the Town of Munster to order for Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. Please set your phones on stun and let's stand for a moment of silence and the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, everyone. Mr. Mendoza, please call roll, please.
Commissioner Brandon.
Present.
Counselor Hopper.
Here.
Commissioner John.
Here.
Counselor Nellens.
Here.
Commissioner Rathman.
Here.
Counselor Schinkin.
Here.
And Commissioner Baker.
Here, we have a quorum moving right along. Next up is the approval of minutes from August 12th, 2025. I'm sure you all reviewed them. Any modifications, motions, what say you?
I'll make that motion to approve the August 12th, 2025 minutes.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? And a second, any discussion? Be there none. All those in favor of approving the minutes from August 12th, 2025, say aye. Opposed? Passed out there forever. Next up is a preliminary hearing, PC 25-011, the subdivision preliminary plat. Bruce Boyer, on behalf of the Crew Car Wash, requests review of a primary plat for one lot subdivision at 111 Ridge Road. Mr. Mendoza.
Yes, Crew Car Wash is already in operation. They are here before you this evening. They're located at the corner of Forest and Ridge. Currently, the parcel is 5 lots of record, divided into 2 parcels. They are seeking a preliminary plat approval, essentially combining what you see here in the blue with the yellow, creating 1 lot of record. The proposal for this is to submit a development plan, which you'll see next. Combining the entire use of the property, which includes additional parking, emergency exit, landscaping, and everything being recorded on 1 lot of record, including a dumpster. Previously, they received a use variant, developmental standard variance to allow a dumpster off-site. But with this combination of these lots into 1 lot of record, this would then make it comply with the standards of the zoning code. It is a preliminary hearing and it needs to be scheduled for a public hearing.
Great. Any questions or issues for staff on this one? All right, somebody to speak on behalf of this? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. I'm Bruce Boyer of Boyer Properties, Boyer Construction. I can't add too much to what Sir Joe just reported on. We're here tonight to request and move to a public hearing for the replat of those 2 lots at the northeast corner of Forest Avenue and Ridge Road. basically to combine the lot that previously held a retail building and a vacant house into the lot that now is the Crew Car Wash. It was formerly the Munster Car Wash.
Okay, this is a preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision. Any questions for the petitioner?
Well, I have a question that, it was mentioned the northeast lot, but it looks like the northwest lot.
Is the northeast corner, of course, is the northwest lot, lot one. lot
Of that parcel.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding.
I would be mistaken, but this is already built, right?
Well, the car wash, both lots were purchased by Crew back in 2022. We did receive approval on a number of zoning variances to proceed with the remodeling and the construction of the new Crew Car Wash. This was never combined into that at that time, and we're just attempting to kind of clean up the whole property and get it redeveloped and finished. We'd like to get it finished and landscaped and be done with it.
Anyone else? Okay. Make this one efficient.
Mr. Chairman, just.
We get
looking-
public-
Wait a minute.
we get public-
Say something?
No, this is not a
It's a
public
preliminary,
hearing.
it's a preliminary hearing, it's set it for public hearing.
Public hearings next month.
Public hearing says number
For the next guy.
where we're in.
No, but this for the, if you're showing, this is just for the plot.
This
Set
is
the
for
public-
combining two lots. He's on it twice, so we're not talking about that. This is to combine two lots. So this is a preliminary hearing.
So 7A, B, C is not a preliminary thing for the top, is the public comment at that point?
7A, and B, they're both public hearings, you can both comment at either of those petitions.
Sorry, can't hear.
Mr. Chairman, since this is a preliminary hearing, I'll make a motion to set PC 25011 to a public hearing.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor of moving this along, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll see you next month. Thank you. Now we're in public hearings. PC 25-012, a development plan review for Bruce Boyer representing the Crew Car Wash. Requests approval of a development plan to allow on-site parking, dumpster enclosure, and emergency exit from the car wash exit drive at 111 Ridge Road. Mr. Mendoza.
Yes, you previously just heard, the request to combine two parcels or 5 previous lots of record into one lot of record. The request for this is to, essentially, this is green space now after the removal of the two buildings. What you see here in the black is the existing structure. They're proposing to convert the open space as part of the one lot subdivision for additional parking, and an emergency exit off of the drive for the drive or the car wash portion of that, as well as locate a dumpster and transformer, rebuild the entranceway to this portion, to the parking lot there, and add the landscaping requirements for the ordinance and per approved development standard variances that were granted about a year ago on this matter. And so that is what they're here to present this evening at a public hearing.
Thank you. Bring it back to the commission. Any questions for staff?
Mr. Chairman, Sergio, is this the exact same plan that was presented, or is this all, I can't remember the driveway heading out that way. I don't remember seeing that before.
So-
Different.
No, this is a brand new plan.
Right.
The development plan has never been filed. What was filed was the variance. This went before the Board of Zoning Appeals for multiple variances. They are now here asking for a development plan approval. So this is the first development plan that we have on file for this site.
I mean, this would have been nice to see before all the variances and everything were all given with, having a usage plan and a site plan.
Didn't this come up though, because, we'll let Mr. Boyer talk, because I didn't know if you had all those properties at the time and or if that was a part of it, or this is just phase two, but you'll tell us right now. Please introduce yourself once again for the public record.
Good evening, Bruce Boyer, Boyer Properties and Boyer Construction. And to answer your question, Mr. Baker, I was not involved with the project at that time, but I understand that when the petition was for some of the variances for the construction of the car wash, there was a site plan presented along with that that showed some potential future development on this site. But at the time, the house still was there, the retail building was there. We came back, met with staff, was able to tear down the retail building so we could finish the back of the car wash building. And as it sits today, we need to finish the back of that now. We had some issues with the location of the transformer where NIPSCO requested that we relocate the transformer. It came back to the town and the staff to work on the new location of that, tucked it as far back as we could into the corner of the building. This is again, really an attempt to just clean up this entire site, make it one cohesive development. We'd like to finish that parking lot. We'd like to get everything landscaped. We're going to extend the retaining wall along the alley, extend the existing fence that was done with the car wash along that alley as far as west as we can. We'd like to replace all the sidewalks on Forest Avenue, completely re-landscape that lot and get it all in a good cohesive order and finish the development, the redevelopment.
So the parking's only gonna be used for employees.
That's correct. They're at, right now,
Where are they parking now?
they're parking on the street.
Yeah.
As such as when, I used to live north of here 35 years ago, and I always remember this as Munster Car Wash. And at the time, those employees parked on the street. So we're trying to improve everything there for the neighborhood.
Any other questions for Mr. Boyer? Looking at the plan, Mr. Boyer, as far as how it relates to the garbage truck getting in and out through, has that been looked and reviewed by site plan and whether or not that's gonna be able to get in and out where the dumpster location is?
We had a number of discussions with that, with staff and with some site plan review at the staff level. They only use a 2-yard dumpster on wheels that can be rolled out and make it accessible to the truck. We discussed moving the driveway more in line with the dumpster area. The staff recommended we keep it away from Ridge Road as much as possible. We didn't want to get any closer to the alley on the north side of that. So this is a good compromise. And they only use a 2-yard dumpster.
And this being a new curb cut, I mean, Sergio, do you have the aerial on what's across the street? I mean, is it offset? Is it aligned with what's on the west side or, we only just take snapshots of what comes in front of us, but I'm more interested in the bigger picture and how it affects what happens around it.
They bring up the aerial for you, give me a minute.
There is no driveway across. There's just the Ridge Road and then the alley.
I should have everything memorized having grown up here, but I don't. So I'm a senior citizen now.
Here you can see what's across the forest there. This is the plan there. The entranceway there is no curb cut across the street there.
That's the dance studio,
That's correct.
and they enter off the alley.
Yes. Their parking is all accessible off the alley.
And there's no access point into this site from the alley, correct?
That's correct.
Any other questions for Mr. Boyer before I open this up for public hearing?
The retainer, I'm sorry.
All right, you wanna go?
The retainer wall, how tall is that gonna be?
The concrete retaining wall behind the car wash property now is
Yes.
about 4 feet tall. And then we have a 6-foot screened fence on top of that.
Okay,
And that, again, that retaining wall will be continued further to the west as far as we can go. We have to maintain a visibility triangle there at the alley. We're gonna go as far west as we can with that retaining wall and add the fence across the back of that property also. We want to completely screen the car wash up to the north.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Boyer, is there a sidewalk that's delineated that's at the property line, or is it just asphalt paving at the one corner? I'm just trying to look at your site plans. I can see where the concrete hash marks are, where the aprons are in the front of the building, but when I go to the civil plan, some of the curb cuts that show on the sidewalk. On this new page.
What are you trying to see?
I
What
just wanna
happens to the
I just wanna
sidewalk?
make sure the sidewalk along Bridge Road is gonna be different as a
That's a
walking
good,
path, especially as we're going through, and you did that at your development, I believe, on Calumet Avenue, where you delineated, so it looked different and was just a walkway with 2 busy aprons coming in.
yeah, that's a good point. They're down at the corner there, the existing sidewalk really doesn't go to the west like it should and connect across Forest Avenue. And we've agreed to rework that entirely when we rebuild that sidewalk. and turn that so that there is a crosswalk across Forest there on the north side of Ridge Road.
One of my questions will be, with the car wash here, I haven't heard a lot of feedback from neighbors. Sure, I'll hear some tonight, but we talked about hours of operation and weekends, late at night with the houses there directly right by the car wash. I don't know if the town's received any complaints with noise and vacuums, car wash. I'm kind of curious. And
There are no vacuums planned for the site. There are none now. And there was an agreement, I believe, with variances in 2023 to limit the hours.
And I
A
don't think-
little bit different than the normal hours of
I'm
operation.
not sure you've done that, because I think I've been there on a Saturday night pretty late or something.
I'm sorry.
I said, I think I've been there pretty late on a Saturday and Sunday. I'm not sure if that was ever
I
enforced, you know?
honestly don't know the hours. I'm sure we could look them up in the record of the zoning variance.
Those were conditions on the variances. So in that respect, obviously, the first step, if there was a violation, would be full occupancy. But those restrictions on the hours were 7 AM to 8 PM, but it's November to March. So November to March.
And then what is it after March, from, what is that, April
So whatever the hours, the restriction was like that point, it's up to them when we go a step from there. But the 6-foot fence on top of the 4-foot retaining wall and the no vacuum facilities, those are conditions of those variances that the BZA previously granted. So there's no discretion on behalf of Crew Car Wash to be able to change that
Thank you.
if they want to keep occupancy anyway.
Any other questions for Mr. Boyer? Is the lighting for the new development component going to be similar to what you have for the actual drive-through for the car wash, or is it going to be a little less aggressive?
It's actually a little less impactful. The original plans for the car wash had a number of pole lights along the west side of the property line that we eliminated. We also eliminated the one pole light that was proposed at the south west corner of the building that's shown there in the circle. There are 2 pole lights that were part of the original Crew Car Wash approval plan that are in those 2 landscape islands at the north end of the property. Those are there. The rest of it is done off lighting off the building. I think we eliminated 4 or 5 pole lights.
So those that are circled right there on that particular slide are still there?
These 2 are there. These 2. That one was eliminated. We also-
Question, do they have cutoff shades on them so they don't?
I believe they do, and
Property.
that was an agreement we had. If not, we'll certainly add them, and we were just made aware. There's a little bit of discrepancy. Our plans that were approved for the construction of the car wash showed a 20-foot pole on a 3-foot concrete base. And I was just made aware this afternoon that the limit is really 23 feet or 20 feet for mounting height. We're certainly are willing to take those poles down and replace them with something a little bit lower, if that's the desire of the planning commission.
Any other questions for this young man? Thank you, sir. All right, folks, I'm going to open this up for public hearing. If you'd like to speak on this particular petition, please come to the microphone and state your name and address, and let's go. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Debbie Albright. I live at 8221 Forest Avenue. It is, I have brought some pictures, so Dr. George may recommend looking that. But if you look across the alley, right there on Forest Avenue, you can't see it, but I live right here,
Right on the alley.
right on the alley. And our house is oriented, it's an L-shaped ranch, and it's oriented, the dining room is on the alley. The living room looks out, when you sit in your living room, you look out into that alley. Into a big L-shaped 1950s ranch. This process has been remarkably frustrating as a neighbor. I was here at that BZA meeting. I believe Mr. Raffin, you were here that night and you listened to us, and I appreciate that. But what we were led to believe was going to happen with this lot where they tore down the house. So we knew they were tearing down the house. They weren't tearing down the boutique the last time we knew. One day I wake up and there's construction equipment outside again, making lots of noise and tearing up things. But so it keeps changing. And interestingly enough, when we went today, I'm looking for what's going on and why does this keep changing? I look at the Valpo site that they have, And the footprint that they are doing with the emergency exits and all of that, that they didn't bring up in the original plan is in their Valpo site. So they knew they needed this. They knew they needed this from the very beginning, but rather than stating that, they told us in BZA, whoever else, they were gonna create a park-like atmosphere, that this was gonna be more beautiful than what we had with the house and the boutique. What we're getting now is a parking lot. And a little curb, a little bit of landscaping, which is basically, this is already there. They're actually gonna eliminate landscaping, not add landscaping. They're eliminating landscaping. So they add this little guy right here and whatever this is. We have tried working with crew, tried to talk to them. They'll respond. They always respond. So I don't want to act as if they ignore us. They don't ignore us. But they say things like, well, we didn't expect this. We didn't know this. We didn't plan for this. And so those of us who live in the neighborhood are waiting for the day we wake up and realize, oh, they got a variance for vacuums today because I missed the email or I missed the BZA meeting or the certified letter, I was out of town. I got a certified letter for this meeting on Saturday. I just want the park-like thing they promised. I want to not have cars, when someone can't get in that car wash, I can't imagine they're gonna be really happy about their emergency exit. So they're gonna come out of that parking lot and they're gonna come zooming down my street with my grandkids and all the kids from the dance studio, which by the way, they don't park in the parking lot, they park on the street. So kids are coming out and someone's mad and someone's trying to get out of the car wash because they're pissy, sorry. And someone's gonna get hurt. There's too much, they're putting too much on that footprint. The conversation my husband had today with the gentleman from Crew said, well, you had dilapidated buildings there. That's not accurate. That's not accurate. That isn't what was going on at that corner when they bought the property. They let it sit. If they bought it in 2022, they had a BZA meeting in 2023. They didn't start anything until 2024. So the buildings sat empty because they bought them and they let them sit empty, not because they were sitting empty before. They're not adding to our property values. They're not adding to the atmosphere of our neighborhood. And as somebody who is impacted by this directly, I just want to say, I want you to say, let's go back to the original plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in looking at this, I can feel the frustration of residents because this isn't what was presented before that I remember. I mean, when you're looking at the curb cut and everything else, you have all different ways of stacking it. This could have been, the car wash could have been ran another way for in and out where you don't have a double entrance there, which creates, site issues down Ridge Road. If this was a plan of the car wash from the beginning, which I would tend to believe they had an idea what they were gonna do here. Because I mean, this just wasn't added overnight, but there could have been a whole different way that we could have stacked this property in and out with direction flow and everything else. It's still what we have here now. That's the frustrating part.
I don't understand what you're frustrated about. I going in and out of Ridge Road. I mean, there's has to be an ingress and there has to be an egress.
I understand that, but you could have looked at changing, the direction and turning around and coming out opposite of the car wash and came out to the road and not having,
Have an exit on Forest?
Well, you could have gone
Come
on
on.
Ridge Road, but I mean, you could have
Not
gone all
with that
different
car
ways,
wash,
you know?
not the way that car wash was. It's always been that way.
So, I mean, it's an interesting site. It's,
Mhm.
thing's been there forever. It's always been a car wash. The two buildings that were there on Forest, those are the issues as far as new structures.
Are they dictating the second entrance because cars get stuck in there and they need to get out? That's
Second entrance is not an entrance, it's a parking lot.
an exit, but it's an exit to get out of there, right?
No,
Not for-
there is no,
You can drive right around that back and use the exit right the other way to circle on the.
All right, well, let's have that conversation. We can bring it back to the
Yeah.
board. Let's finish the public. Yes, sir. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, I'm Daniel Albright, also at 8221 Forest Avenue. And we mentioned lighting. And I've had a few conversations with the Crew Car Wash. I'd like to address the lighting and the noise. And those are the two things that, when originally came up, those are the two things that I talked about, noise pollution and light pollution. And so, as far as noise pollution, they have buzzers, like anytime a car comes around that maybe because somebody's not watching, that car's gonna be there, this beep, 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 and letting them know that the car's there, even though the guy's standing right there waiting for the car to come around. We from 7 o'clock in the morning, we hear them screaming out on the road, car wash, come. For a while, they had bullhorns. And I called them that morning and said, well, I won't say exactly what I said, but having a bullhorn at 7 o'clock, well, he said, well, what time do you think we should be able to start using the bull? Yeah, never. So it's just this constant noise, and I know they're business, I'm not against business, but there's gotta be some ways to keep noise down when you're right beside a neighborhood. The second is the lighting. They have a light pole that just brightens up my front yard. It's like daylight in my front yard. And so, and also they said that they would show that, and I'm sure they're gonna do something on a shielding for that. But it's still this high pole that is just gonna kill my front yard. I can't have peace in my front yard. Also, until like 11 or 12 at night, somebody is working in there with the garage open in the back. So that light is beaming into our yard. And also there's some sconce on the wall that they had on for a few days, and I got a hold of them because those were like 2 headlights on these sconces. And they said, well, we're having a hard time getting the right lighting. So I just want to mention it to you guys. Yes, they said they're going to do something, but there just continues to be this constant push forward, and us having to go to them and saying, hey, this isn't right, rather than thinking through, hey, we're in a neighborhood, we should do it this way. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Will Schenkel, 7944 Holman Avenue. Back to December of 23, they put a picture out there of a fence on top of that concrete wall, so that noise, dirt, debris, garbage that people throw out their windows at the car wash wouldn't go into that alley, because that was one of our biggest frustrations, the abundance of trash from all those businesses flying down that alley. Their solution, if you drive past, was they got a fence up, it's 4 inches off the concrete, and it's higher, so there's a 8-inch gap along the bottom. So what they say they're going to do is not actually reality. So I'm just wondering if there's any check and balances to, if something does get approved, who's at, sorry, I read my address, who follows up with whatever you guys do decide, because what you guys did decide is not actually the truth.
That's an excellent question. Mr. Mendoza, with the things that we approve, be the photometrics or location and height of fences, who's responsible for making sure it meets the specifications that are done here in this particular body?
We have a zoning officer that goes out there and issues, reviews the plans that have been submitted and approved by the planning commission, and registers compliance. If there's no compliance, they do not receive occupancy.
There's no complaints, they receive occupancy compliance. And if there is an issue there, is there anything that residents such as myself driving by would know that there's work being done to correct that? Is there a red tag, a orange tag, or we just don't know, we just assume that it's
They are
being
not
done?
allowed to operate if anything is out of compliance from any approval.
Yeah, and that's done through the zoning office.
Correct.
Which is your office.
I've got a zoning officer who does those inspections based on approvals that are submitted, or approved by this commission.
Thank you.
Part next, if you look at that picture, the same time they did it, they have a dumpster and that's it, and all of the green space. If you look back to December of 23, it's just totally different than what they're doing again now.
What I was hearing you
Thank
say is that the fence is in compliance, right? Because that's what we told them to do, but you're saying.
The fence looks nothing like the picture of what they said they were going to do.
Okay, but I thought your frustration was the 8-inch gap between.
There's
the
a
fence,
gap to where
And that's where
we
the trash
have,
was
as
going
the
through.
neighborhood said, we don't want light as well as we don't want debris coming through. They put up the fence because that's what they said they were gonna do, and they said it was gonna put it right up on the concrete wall, according to the picture. That's not exactly what is the case.
Yes, ma'am.
So are you saying, Sergio, that the fence is in compliance?
We don't have regulations in regards to how high the fence can be off the property. We only have regulations on the total height of the property, and we received the variance to put the fence on the wall side.
Got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Nancy Nixon, 8004 Holman Avenue. I just want to agree a lot with the first couple that live right off the alley, but also living in the neighborhood all these years. Forest Avenue has become a cut through for Ridge Road. And mainly even further down because of the light on Broadmoor, people speed all the way down. And having another cut through from onto that road is just more problematic. We already have tons of curb cuts in a 2-block area on Ridge with people coming and going every which way, and now they want to put something out into the neighborhood. It's not a good idea.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Jeff Nixon, 8004 Holman Avenue. I just wanted to be in support of all the concerns that have been mentioned. And this company is a very successful company. They have at least 45 units in Indiana and Minnesota. When they buy property, they know exactly what they need. And to say that we didn't realize that we were gonna have to do these things because we just started building this, and we realized it as we were building it, and now it's up and running, we're seeing what some of the issues are. Well, that's what I think the whole plan from the beginning was, is that they would get something that was presentable, that everybody would agree on, and then take the rest of the issues to the back door. And it's now that we're here, we're all established, this would be easier to get whatever the problems are taken care of in their eyes, but not really in the eyes of the neighborhood.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, Anthony Christopher, 1908 Martha Street. Forgive me, I had no intention of talking on this topic today, but as a crew monthly member, I'm there often enough to understand what they want to do. And a pass through or people speeding down Forest there is not the intention. It's an emergency exit if you're stuck in between cars. This is where cars enter into the car wash. And this is where the line is coming off a bridge. This right here, if I'm understanding correct, Mr. Boyer, would be an emergency if you're stuck in between, meaning your car is not getting washed. These cars are not just zipping off Forest for the heck of it. There's a reason, and they can't get in, they have to leave. And here, the ribbon cutting I went to through car wash, you couldn't park anywhere. If I was a resident over there, I would much rather have employees park in this little lot than park in front of my house all day long. So I think it cleans it up. I think it gives employees their own space versus taking up residence space. And I don't think that the fear of people just going 25 miles an hour are realistic. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. Gonna close the public hearing, bring it back to the commission. Let's say, Mr. Mendoza, I noticed in the staff report, there's some concern with regards to lighting standards. Can you expound on that, please?
Yes, the information we received regarding the lighting standards are for the wall mount hid lights. You see here highlighted. We have the specs for those identified here in purple, the lower line there. In the spreadsheet, you can see they're located, identified as 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe are located there. This purple there. Staff did not receive any information on these specs. They're identified as possibly new lighting standards. And so we do not have that information and are looking to receive that information to whether advise the applicant to seek a variance based on our existing zoning code, or they will comply with the existing zoning code on those lighting standards with regards to pole height, head type, and color temperature.
Is it just the lighting fixtures on the building itself, or is it also the heads on top of the pole?
The only information we have is for the lighting fixtures on the building. We do not have any specs as identified for these items that were submitted as part of the lighting plan.
You?
Sergio, do you anticipate, when this new lighting information comes in, that would, please the neighbors, that that's gonna be beneficial to them?
I do
especially their
not
house?
know once I receive those specs.
But like, what, it would have to adhere to our standards, right?
If they,
Yeah.
or seek a variance, and if they seek a variance, we end up here in the public hearing process again through the board of zoning.
Mr. Baker, if I could address some of the issues that were raised.
Sure.
And let's start out with the lighting a little bit. We did submit a photometric plan for the lighting, which I believe is acceptable, meets the standards in the county. The lack of information on the pole lights was an oversight on our part. It's the same type of fixture as the wall mount. It's just a pole mount rather than a wall mount. We can resubmit that. And again, the mounting height, there's a little misconception. There are construction drawings that were approved for permits do show a 20-foot pole on a 3-foot concrete base. But I was made aware that it's a 20-foot mounting height, where we're actually at 23 feet. We can correct that. It's not a problem. As far as the driveway on Forest Avenue.
Excuse me, Mr. Boyer, just to make, since we're speaking about lighting, Mr. Mendoza, can you pull up Exhibit E and put it on the screen, please? Because it's a pretty cool light photometric program. So based on the illumination component of this, is it the specs that there's a concern about is about the illumination, or is it just about the aesthetics?
I'm sorry. The concern is not with illuminations. The lumens that are identified on the photometrics comply with the code.
Okay.
The concern is the specs of the construction of the pole lights, the proposed pole lights that we do not have. That is where we need to verify compliance with the code.
I have a question regarding the transit lights coming off the property into the neighbors. We do have that where well, we used to have it in the code where you couldn't have light coming off one property onto the other. You're supposed to minimize that. Is that what's happening here, or in fact, are they lighting up the neighbors, and are they lighting up those properties all night long?
The current standard reads 0 along the property line, residential property line, and so this is where you're looking at the photometric information along that property line there.
I understand that 0 does not mean no light.
Correct.
Right.
This is 0.3, 0.2, 0.1. So
There's always going to be light reflection.
Right, but it should be minimal as opposed to lighting up the front yard as was described.
Mr. Nellens, that is showing minimal light leaving the property. I mean, it's 0.3 foot candles.
And is it on all night long
No, I don't believe the pole lights are on all night long.
or only during operation?
Yes.
Depends on who's working late.
What sometimes happens is when people off-site see the light source, that is different than a light illumination beyond the property. Again, we are willing to shield those as much as we can to hide that light source. I believe we're more than meeting the requirements of light not leaving the property.
But again, sometimes those cutoff shades do help.
Well, yes, we'll add cutoff shades. The fixtures themselves have cutoff lenses in them that redirect the light. And that's what we're providing, but we can add some additional shades to that to stop even the appearance of seeing the light source.
Will lowering this photometric display, will lowering the fixtures by the specified amount change this at all? Would it reduce it?
We would need a photo of someone who conducts those types of photometric plans to identify whether the height of the pole and what the overall cast would be on the lights themselves.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I mean, I don't know. It seems like it would reduce it. If
Yeah.
it was down to just,
I think
for basic
conceptually,
physics or,
conceptually it would, but I think there are light engineers that
yes.
would look at
It
that.
would tend to increase the light level on the property and decrease the light level off the property
Beyond.
by lowering the light source.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Sergio, with this new site plan being presented, does it meet our landscape standards for the different lot layers?
It does based on the variances that were granted through the board of zoning. Yes.
We are providing screening of the parking lot, screening of the dumpster and the transformer. That's required in the screen area here. We'll screen everything. We have looked at this and are willing to, right now, the fence stops right here. We have the green area here where we cannot extend the fence any closer to the sidewalk due to the visibility that is required. We are willing to change this curve and extend this a little bit more of an angle and create a little bit more of a landscape area here rather than having a empty space between the end of the fence and the landscape area. That's something I personally just caught the other day and thought we could improve on that a little bit.
May I ask, do you have all this irrigated?
Yes,
And the new area would be irrigated?
yes.
Do we know the height of that screening?
We're limited, I believe, to 30 inches because again, the visibility coming out of the alley.
Sightlines.
We can have the fence, which we will have from the retaining wall up to a 6-foot fence. I wasn't aware of a gap between the fence and the top of the retaining wall. We can certainly fill that with fence material.
Let me ask again, the screening that's going to screen the employee parking is only 30 inches high?
No, that can be higher. We're only allowed to do 30 inches along the alley there. But
Right.
we can screen higher. And I think our intent was to screen with some higher bushes through here, particularly on this area where we have the dumpster area, to screen that from the street. I would like to point out also, there is an existing driveway onto that property right now, onto that lot. There was a driveway for the house that was there.
There was not, you guys put that in.
Excuse me, ma'am. Thank you.
And to talk about the emergency, this is an emergency exit in case something happens in the tunnel and we have cars stacked up over here. We want to be able to get people out here rather than trying to back everybody out to Ridge Road. Again, this was always a car wash. It has been for years. There was never any screening on the alley at the time of Munster Car Wash. That was wide open. We've improved the alley. We paved the entire alley behind the property. We've actually filled in between the alley and the retaining wall with pavement to clean that whole area up and be able to maintain that much easier.
I'd like to make a comment that those buildings along Forest were just very dated, old. In fact, it had come before here that they wanted to put a residence inside one of them. We rejected that. But they were not any garden thing, just there. And
They have been vacant for some time, and certainly the car wash, they don't put it. And
Yes. I don't know that we can debate whether this information was known at the time that they were building this car wash. But I don't know that you can necessarily deny. I think this makes sense. Whether it should have been known up front, I don't know. I wasn't here when that came through. But it makes sense to have an emergency exit to get vehicles out of the line, out of the queue when something jams up. I think it makes sense to have the employees park on the property instead of on the street. You do need to have a dumpster. I think it's being addressed. And again, I would agree that we're not anticipating a whole string of cars coming flying out of this car wash speeding down Forest. I know that we have traffic problems throughout. It just seems to be the nature of people now. They want to go faster. It's me, myself, and I, and that's all that counts. Because we hear that all the time. I think the key comes in is have they met the intent, have they met, not the intent, have they met the codes that are required for how this is being built? The landscaping has to meet our code and it has to be maintained. And I think that's something that the town itself needs to work on because we have other businesses in town that do not maintain their landscaping. And that needs to be addressed, but in this case, does this landscaping meet our codes? And what's required?
I will say the other properties we've developed for Crew Car Wash in Cherville and in St. John, they spend an extraordinary amount of money on landscaping and maintaining that landscaping, planting flowers, different seasons of the year.
Mr. Boyer, one of the questions from the neighbors, and you seem very willing to address concerns, is the noise. And I don't know, are those OSHA things that need to, are there requirements that have to have those buzzers, or is there anything that can be done about that noise?
Well, I think if, once we finish this lot and complete the fence and extend that as far west as we can, that'll diminish the noise. Again, you'll have a 10-foot tall screen across the back of the property. It also will eliminate, Mr. Albrecht mentioned that you can see the light from the tunnel. That'll completely eliminate that. If you stand on that alley, and I'm 6'1", and I can't see over the top of that 6-foot fence. So you're talking about a 10-foot screen from the alley elevation that'll completely hide the entire back of that building.
Well, I just, and obviously, bullhorns at 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning, they're just,
I certainly wasn't aware of that, and I will have that conversation with the operation.
so you feel that significantly, once that fence goes up, the sound pollution going back into the neighborhood.
Yes.
With those buzzers will be reduced. Is that something that can be further reduced? If it is insufficient, is there anything, or is that just not even a part of the equipment or?
I don't know how else we could reduce it in all honesty. And again, this was always a car wash and there was never any screening between here and the alley in the past, so.
The alley in the past, the Munster Car Wash, there was just that foot wall. That was it on the alley, right? So you
they
can
had a
see
little-
right into the chute.
Yeah, they had a little curb right there with no fence or anything. I'm surprised people hadn't gone off that.
Well, I guess I'm just gonna say what was in the old days, this is now the new days, and we've got new standards, and we wanna make sure that the businesses, and this is a tough issue with you having businesses along Ridge Road and residences right behind them. We have the same thing on Calumet Avenue, and the two is always a problem back and forth, but again, Mr. Boyer, we wanna make sure that this is now done to a new standard. And I understand what was, but what was doesn't cut it now.
Understand?
Sergio or Nicole, so their hours of operation are, 8 to 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. But then the neighbors are saying that they're in, the chute working much later than that. Is that something that they're violating? I mean, when you're closed, obviously, there's a little bit of, cleanup afterwards, but are they? But I don't know. I don't remember what the neighbor said, how late they're working, but if the garage door is open and and they're hearing things, is there any sort of restriction on that?
The winter hours by the variance granted by the BZA previously was 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. November to March. So that's operation hours, right? And as you pointed out, business hours. As you pointed out, there's cleanup and other things after that. The noise ordinance in town is essentially 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And that's obviously for municipal trucks, right? They don't come out and start picking up trees and branches or trash or anything, and that is mowing, that is construction, whatever. So that would clearly apply. That's not something that's an additional requirement that you have to put on or anything else. So that's the window. So the 7 a.m. I find a bit interesting. Now, there's still standards within that though, of where that noise is measured from, and that's all laid out in the ordinance. So as for those, it's already set forth in both the what the BZA grades in the nuisance, but those other factors or other determination as to our lights turned down, the way that tilt obviously, as Sergio has already pointed out, the full lights weren't, they didn't have the full information, but please keep in mind, and I will reiterate, you know, you're hearing this from me quite often, approval of a development plan by the planning commission does not approve conditions or items in the development plan that are not compliant with the ordinance. They are required to comply with the ordinance and or get BZA variance approval. You know, this commission cannot approve that. And that always seems to be an ongoing, discussion of what is proposed in the layout of the property, but if there is something having to do with lighting or landscaping that was not already previously granted a variance, the mere fact that it's on this plan does not allow it, even if you're approved a development plan. The requirement is still that it has to comply and, or they have to see the variance. So I know that sometimes creates questions. But as for the lighting issue, that would be, you know, addressed as that, but once they get the information to Sergio that's needed and perhaps some of those things can be cleared up. The requirements and concerns that you have, and I believe Mr. Boyer has referenced that they would address, whether that's the fixing that area in the fence. Those are reasonable conditions that, that, for example, is a reasonable condition that you can impose that furthers the requirements of development review. So, whether I appreciate his consultory, you know, approach to that, but those are things that you can still do that are within the purview of the commission.
Do we know what the summer hours? List the winter hours.
Well, that's the, no, those winter hours are the limitation put on, the business by the BZA.
I understand.
So that's what their hours are shortened before that, if they want to shorten them, otherwise they can do, but I'm not sure the summer.
I would ask,
I think 9 PM.
9 PM is the normal time.
So that's what the 9 PM is the normal time for shutting off the cars being washed. But you may in fact have maintenance going on afterwards, clean up of the chute. And I do question myself, I question those buzzers and alarms and bells. Do they need to be there? And if you've got a hard fence, wall, concrete, you know that's gonna bounce around on that. It's not like you have a sound absorbing type material that's gonna dampen it.
We will certainly look at the buzzers. I'm not aware of constant buzzing or alarms or anything like that. Is there something that, you know, if the wash stops, if the track stops, there is an alarm that sounds before it starts up again, for safety reasons. Those are some requirements by OSHA, but,
Sure.
I don't believe there's any outside bells or alarms or buzzing constantly going on.
I know we've had to request businesses turn down the drive-through squawk box because it's been too loud in the neighborhood. So, yeah, we're just asking, we're trying to accommodate what the residents are asking for.
Certainly
what the
willing to
business
look at
needs.
that. and address that.
We're not advocating anything to be against OSHA. We don't have jurisdiction over that.
Or nerves. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
you have a gate arm, because I've had this wash several times to come in that sprays the cars as you go into the wash. Would it be proper to put a gate arm on the other side to ensure that this is emergency exit only and we're not using it for doing everything else?
I think that's a reasonable request.
So you're concerned that somebody's gonna pay, not go through the wash and race through the parking lot on Forest Avenue?
My mom's a little older, she's not the best driver in the world. So
She's gonna run in the building before that, you do that well around here. All right, so we have a lot of information. What do you wanna do, folks?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm reading staff's motion to consider the following. Motion is defer PC 25012 to next month, so additional lighting standard information can be submitted and continue the public hearing for approved car wash development plan, including discussion and finding.
Mr. Raffin, are you reading it or are you making a motion?
Reading that and making that motion.
Can we,
There's a motion, is there a second?
can we amend that a little bit and add, the fence,
Discussion,
what's that?
sure, discussion, right?
Right.
I'll second that motion for discussion purposes.
All right, there's a motion and a second, discussion, Ms. Brannigan.
So I was just saying to add to that, that we talk about the fence, have them add something to the fence to make it so that nothing flows under it, the trash is a little more contained.
I'm sure Mr. Boyer, looking at this being continued to defer, and will take those items into consideration to bring back next month, right?
I would certainly prefer that you would consider a motion to approve with all the contingencies we discussed tonight.
So there's a motion and a second, and we have some discussion. So that being one, is there any other discussion with regards to this particular motion? Because we gotta follow the process, Mr. Boyer.
Understand?
Yes, I would add Ms. Brannigan's items to that motion to defer.
Anyone else? All right, Mr. Mendoza, we have a motion and a second.
Commissioner Brannigan,
Yes.
Counselor Hopper,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Counselor Nelson,
Yes,
Commissioner Rathman,
Yes.
and Counselor Schinkin.
Yes.
And Commissioner Baker.
No. All right, Mr. Boyer, I guess we see you next month.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving right along. Next up is PC 25-014. It's a rezone. Gary Warfel, Spin Munster LLC, care of Saxon Partners on behalf of Kenmar Development requests a rezone 58 acres from CD-4.B to PUD Technology Park at south of 400 to 440 Fisher Street. Let me make it a little bit easier. It's Lansing Country Club. Mr. Mendoza, you're up first.
Sure. So this application was before you last month in the preliminary hearing. They're here now for a public hearing. The applicant is requesting to rezone property which is south of the NIPSCO right of way. Move there south of the NIPSCO right of way and north of the railroad tracks and east of the state line. They are looking to rezone this property to a PUD technology park. They have submitted conceptual architectural renderings and conceptual site plan for development plan with conceptual replat or re-subdivision of the site into multiple lots. This is a conceptual site plan. They've identified have provided a development standards and design guidelines for this PUD. And he is here tonight to entertain the public hearing.
First off, any questions from the commission to staff with regards to what just got proposed?
well, I guess I'd like to ask some questions. Across Northwest Indiana, there's a lot of technology parks and data centers and all that, and some communities have rejected them. Some discussion is they consume a lot of water, they generate a lot of noise, and suck down a lot of energy. I'm bringing that up because we haven't had that discussion here yet. And, it's not like everybody is welcome them. And I want to know why we should welcome this. Since there seem to be some concerns and we need to have assurances that those aren't the problems.
But where'd you get these concerns from?
Off the news, it's in the Times, it's in the newspaper.
I'm reading how they're very good for a community, the tax dollars, the tax base you get. And as you know, with this new hit we're gonna take in the budget.
George,
this
I'm not
helps.
against it. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that we're not approving something that's gonna be
Exactly.
a thorn. I know the economics and we want to know the economics. Maybe they're not in this particular project. We need to know that too, George. I'm just bringing that up for discussion.
So, Mr. Mendoza, this technology park aspect of it, is that something that was in the current zoning, or was that anything that's, been through your office to get vetted out, or is this just the state law that's just now being enlightened about the town of Munster?
No, this is a state law that's been on the books for years. This is just the property owner looking into the state law and applying it to this property. Our current zoning code does not list the permitted uses within that state code. And that is why the applicant is here requesting to rezone the property to the technology park, because the uses are not listed and then would require various use variances in order to proceed under whatever current zoning classification it is.
So it needs that classification. It can't be these buildings, data centers in this example in a PUD.
That's what he's proposing. He's proposing these types of industries within that PUD.
Right. Anything else for staff? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address and you speak on behalf of this petition. Sorry, I missed your preliminary.
No worries. Gary Warfel, 25 Recreation Park Drive, Hingham, Mass. I represent Saks Partners. And also Scott Ganey here is our local counsel. So good evening, commissioners, council persons, counselor and staff. We have been here many times before. We have worked very closely with the town to try to activate the largest economic development opportunity that exists in this town at 81 acres. We've attempted to work hand in hand with existing zoning, CD 4B. No one liked it. We didn't like it. There's inconsistencies in that zoning code. It's not really consistent with where the strategic plan for the town is going. And we know that there's efforts underway to come up with new zoning code. So the thing that's driving our thought to rezone to PUD is based on 4 real concepts in the development plan. Number 1 is to maximize the economic impact to the town through tax revenue. Number 2, minimize the traffic that's going to come into the town. Number 3, we are not including, and this was very clear in our development plan, and our proposal is not to pursue residential density that would add more school children, into the school town of Munster. And number 4 was not to pursue a public roadway connection to Illinois. So that's where we're at. So the current development plan meets all of those objectives. However, to do all of those things, it's really incumbent to change the zoning to PUD. So it's just like any large development opportunity in the town, whether it's Centennial Park, whether it's Powers Health, whether it's Lake Business Center, whether it's Maple Leaf Crossing, a PUD is more consistent for the development plan. So when it came to trying to understand what it is exactly we want to do to check all these boxes, we do favor certified technology park, which is Indiana code. And Mr. Nellens, just to correct you, there's only 2 certified technology parks in Northwest Indiana. One was started in Hammond, which never really happened. And then the other one is Purdue Technology Park in Maryville. Right. I think it is Maryville. So we've been studying these parks. There's 22 across the state. Our goal and our desire is to bring science, technology, innovation into this site and help that activate not only economic development opportunity, but bring this in as education for Munster High School students. There is technology, we talked about data, all that stuff, it's happening around us. AI is going to change the world. Robotics is going to change the world. What we would like to do is work within the context of a certified technology park. What we're proposing in this PUD, we're going to have to come back. We don't have a specific use set for the site. But what we really asked for just 2 things, 2 changes to the original development plan. Number 1 was to combine lots because we're restricted in a CD 4B to a 2,400 foot perimeter, which makes it really difficult to do a larger scale technology building. That was one. And the other one was we are actually willing to treat the north parcel, which is 22 acres of open space, to keep that open space, bring that into the community. It's a lake that's larger than the lake at Centennial Park. it's a piece of land that nobody can see, nobody can get to. We've now basically been able to get NIPSCO to deed land to the town that enables Fisher Street to connect through to the site to activate the opportunity. So in our line of thinking, PUD rezone is the perfect choice here. And, you know, we've worked very hard with the town to try to come up with a use that makes the most economic sense and what is best for the town residents. And I think that's where we're at. So that's our request.
Mr. Mendoza, can you put up exhibit F on the screen, please, and show a picture? Because you know, I went to IU, I'm a big fan of, you know, the site plans and, you know, seeing the actual picture. Now, Mr. Werfel, you have already completed all of the infrastructure work for the connection from Fishers into this site?
No, none of that work has been completed. It's all been approved. It's been approved. Actually, the land for the Fisher Street extension has already been deeded to the town. So our phase one, and we have a development agreement, a phase 1A development agreement. None of that has changed. All of that is still valid. And once we obtain the rezoning, we intend to move forward with that phase 1A connection.
And I want to say, I think the council president has signed off on
I know.
on the contract paperwork, whatever that was required for the
Sure.
NIPSCO easement.
The town actually owns the land now.
Right.
The town owns the land. We were able to work with NIPSCO to give the town 114-foot right of way onto the site.
That page. So all that's done moving forward, is that getting triggered as a part of this new approval, or is that already been approved and that construction is gonna start, or are you considering that just part of your overall development plan? Because there's a lot of work on those streets that we've done. We spent a lot of time on the last go around.
We have all the engineering is done. All the utility work has been approved. We're ready to file for permit. We already had preliminary design review by the town, and that's been acceptable. So the design that we have for phase 1A is complete and it's been accepted. Next step there would be simply to file for permit.
Thank you.
And that's only for that entrance.
It's for the extension of Fisher Street,
Right.
the rerouting of Timrick, the added green space at that intersection, and that gets us onto the site.
Right, but there's nothing in the site that's been
No.
approved yet.
No.
Right.
What we did, just to kind of refresh everyone's memory, we first started a phase 1 development plan, which would be Fisher Street, Maple Leaf Boulevard, all of the offsite infrastructure, and it became very difficult to get done. We said, because we're talking about TIF, we're talking about, pilot programs, not-for-profit, a whole bunch of different stuff. So what we said, let's break it down. Let's take 1A, which is Fisher Street, let's strip that out. Let's put everything else into what's called a future phase development agreement. So once we get the rezoning, once we start doing some active marketing, we then will come back and we will probably slightly amend the development agreement. It won't be very, very much because I think it's pretty well set. But we're going to have to begin a discussion on what that future phase development agreement looks like. And then we'll also have to come back with any amended requirements on the plan that will need to be re-vetted by Plan Commission and Council.
Any questions for this young man?
We can't see it on this.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry. Permission to speak. Okay, so can't see it on this site plan, but you are connecting to Maple Leaf, this roadway, right, we're calling it the roadway parcel. I mean, I see your entrance at the top, but at the bottom here, I see, the black and white on
It
the
says
bottom right
potential
corner.
future extension to Maple Leaf Boulevard. So is the question, are you extending to Maple Leaf Boulevard as a part of this development plan?
Well, just eventually, I'm just curious, because,
Eventually, we will have to address that.
Okay.
Definitely. All that engineering work has been done. All of the clearances have been received with NIPSCO, but we need to spend a little more time with agreements to get that complete. The one thing that we did do on behalf of the town, when we started this process back in 2021, I believe it was, we were in quick enough to coordinate with NICD on the elevated train line, the Westlake extension. And we coordinated a pass-through, which exists today, a tunnel under the elevated grade ramp, which would eventually allow the Pensy Greenway to connect from all points north, under the tracks, down to Centennial Park.
And one more thing, we're talking about the, in general, the tax revenue for the town and that all sounds great. Do you have any idea how that tax revenue will directly impact schools by chance?
The current economic impact study that was done by the town for our initial plan, done by Baker Tilly, we reimbursed the town for that agreement. That showed a total tax revenue of 320 million over 30 years coming to into the town, off the property, and 6 million went to the school town of Munster. We believe that with technology park designation, we're going to have higher assessed value than we would with a commercial development. The other thing about a commercial development that makes us a little bit nervous is that the office vacancy in the Chicago suburban market is about 37%. Now, we always thought that this is a perfect site to bring a Class A tenant from the East Loop down into Munster. That still could be a possibility as part of this scheme, but we think that where technology is moving, that we're better off to bring in a technology-based tenancy into this project. And we honestly don't know who that is, what it's going to look like, but what we did do is pull together a plan that would comply with open space requirement for each of these. All we did is we took the lots, we combined lots, made a bigger footprint to see what that might look like and maintain that 70% of maximum coverage, which we have, which does not include the north parcel. When we add the north parcel, our open space, we're down to like 40% coverage.
And the north is gonna be more green space and park.
All green space.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a win-win.
All green space.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to recall, and that the transition that's gonna happen as Fisher extends into this property, the transition that's happening at Timrick and Manor, have we decided on that, or is that still kind of in?
No, that's complete.
It's on.
That's in the phase 1A development agreement.
We decided that's the way to go. You're doing all the stop signs.
Yeah, that was approved under the prior administration.
I mean, obviously with this proposal, there's less density as far as people in and out, which means less traffic on Timrick and Fishers. It's just going to be a component of how you address all the concerns we continue to hear about as it relates to data centers. And then if you have a data center that does come in here, Sergio, will they have to come back, or once this technology PUD, should it go through, is approved, whomever they put in there to run that operation, that's just moving forward as part of the business, correct?
So what's being presented to this evening at the public hearing is the design guideline bulk standards to begin the process of attracting these types of industries to this site as a by right uses within the PUD or established PUD as it goes through the council. The next step would be the process of identifying their individual lots, creating individual lots, at which time individual development plans would come in for approval by this planning commission, supporting the guidelines and bulk standards that were presented from the agenda this evening.
Thank you. So Mr. Warfel, has there already been interest in this site as it relates to what my understanding is between power and water is always the issue, and then everybody shows up because they're worried about the sound. But have the
aspects of the water and the power been things that you've worked through, or, you know, what's the
Yeah,
update?
great question, great question. We have actually done some pretty extensive research on the site in terms of water, power, resource. And it turns out that the site is actually benefits from a tremendous amount of water on several fronts. Number one, that lake, the South Lake, actually North Parcel, it's the Indiana Lake. There is a pump house on that lake, and that was the source of irrigation for the golf course. So that, and that is spring fed. So there's never been a depletion in that lake because of golf course irrigation. That's number one. Number two, we would never suggest a use on this site that would compromise the municipal water supply in Munster. So we just ran flow tests with the fire department, water department on the meters. Now, all of those water lines were recently replaced. The amount of water out of those municipal mains is tremendous. And we're also advancing an 8-inch well on the site, just to understand, just like Briar Ridge, which takes their water out of a well for all their irrigation, we have 3 sources of water. And what we're trying to do is whatever water usage comes onto this site, will not compromise the town's municipal supply. Power, there's a NIPSCO substation right down here. There's natural gas. There's 2 high pressure gas mains that come right through the middle of our property. They come from Texas and they feed 9 states on the East Coast. So there's a tremendous amount of resource here. The one thing that we should probably point out in this plan, you can see to the left right here, we're working with engineers with both Metropolitan Water Reclamation of Chicago, or Cook County, I should say, and IDEM and engineers from both states to create a interstate detention system so that we can move that stormwater off of this site into Illinois. So we end up with a lot more stormwater detention. All the wetlands have been mitigated. We're from an environmental standpoint, we're in pretty good shape.
Thank you. Any other questions before I open this up to a public hearing?
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Warfel, just going through here, I was just noticing just some of the things on the architecture or some of the development standards. I think we can do some thinking on it, just because I think this is critical, as you mentioned, AI and everything changes, right? So when we're looking at the architectural standards, I think when we go into the design phase of this building, we have to look holistically at what these buildings might look like 30 years from now. What could they be repurposed as? Because the data center today and tomorrow might be the office building of tomorrow. So when it comes to design stuff, we'll have to look at, tweaking some stuff and seeing how things work, regarding, windows and all that kind of stuff. And I think the right architectural design team can bring a building with a design that can be repurposed in the future.
That's a great question, because I will bet you 6 months ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Right. I mean, things are moving so quickly with technology. We don't know what tomorrow's going to look like. So, but I think that if you look at, and a lot of, that's a great comment, because a lot of this will look like, once we start having conversations with users or tenants, we'll understand more about what are they looking for? What's the good visibility in these buildings? But for the most part, the technology parks we're seeing are more open space concepts, so that they are easily divisible. But, and I think in terms of windows and glass and egress and, that's to be determined. But these are generally larger format buildings, and that's why we went to this plan. And just by the definition, a larger format building is easily subdividable.
And you're not in the public's eye at all back there.
Right.
There's nobody's gonna see you.
Right, what do you got? The CN on one side, you got the South Shore on the other, and the big power plant and a lake.
But even language we could add in there regarding sound attenuation, environmental impact, all that kind of stuff that we could address into those developmental standard designs. And it wouldn't be bad for a parcel this size to have architectural control committees. You know, you've been very big on that, as well as, you know, a few other things we can look at. I mean, also one thing we should think about, steel, buildings this size and steel this size. I'm sure project labor agreements are critical for the region, so we're not hiring people from 4 states away to develop parcels like this.
We
So-
just passed an ordinance last, so.
You passed one already?
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't know you did. All right.
we passed.
Okay. Well, this is just, things we should talk about, you know, so that's all I have.
I agree with that, Roland. I mean, even though the site is tucked away, I mean, this building potentially here forever, and we have to constantly be thinking about the architecture in our town.
I'm gonna
Okay,
make a general comment that on the.
public hearing, go ahead, sir.
Scott, go ahead. Oh, wait, sorry.
I just want to mention that the buildings I thought that were in this proposal are reasonable looking. And, you know,
And it's this concept.
right, it's just concept. And just because we approve a PUD doesn't mean that you can grab and run and do whatever. It still requires review and oversight, and I want to also make sure that the building department gets whatever information they want to have. And if that isn't delivered, then I think we need to put the brakes on it. Just a comment. I'm sorry, interrupting public.
All right, any other questions for the petitioner? All right, be that said, I want to open up the public hearing component.
Just one point for your consideration, if you would, Scott Yaney, 3 Lincoln Way, Suite 201, Valparaiso, Indiana. Just listening to some of the comments and some of the discussion earlier I had with Gary, keeping in mind that this use could change and being mindful of design standards, it's a technology park, and sure, we talked about one of the uses, but under this designation, it could be biotech. It could be chips. There's a whole list of items under the state statute I was just thinking about. And one of the things that occurs to me is each time anything is going to be developed, it's going to have to come forward with a development plan. It might be hard to comprehend the design standards we want in place right now. So maybe you could consider as an approval this evening that if and when he comes back with the development plan, that you have the ability to come into these design standards and then more tailor them. And I haven't talked to Gary about that, but I at least wanted to interject now to maybe help us move forward. And then we can do the fine tuning later as it comes up. So just an idea.
Any other ideas? Be there none, I'll open the public hearing section now. If you'd like to speak on this, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for
Hi. Mike BZA, Macaulay Bennett Commercial and Progressive Bank Group.
Could you repeat that again, please?
Mike BZA, Macaulay Bennett Commercial,
Thanks.
221 Carnation Street, Dyer, sorry, not Munster West. So thanks for having this evening. I just wanted to state some remarks in support of the project. I think that knowing Munster's value that they have on the school system, it's the best in class in Northwest Indiana. Something like this serves as like a launching pad for some students to go to. So it's not just a medical or it has more diversity to the local market. We are kind of the center of the wheels spoke for a lot of school systems, Purdue, IU, a lot of the Big Ten, Chicago school systems for the universities. Something like this will allow for more of a research component. It will allow for more innovation, and it will obviously be beneficial from a economic standpoint for the town. So I would like to see something like that happen, if not just to break up the logjam of all the medical, but also I think it's the highest and best use for what's allowed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. State your name and address, please, for the record.
Yes, Anthony Christopher, 1908 Martha Street. I'm also with Macaulay Bennett Commercial. I'm a Worcester resident. I'm very active in the community. Most of you know me well. The land, I think, has two uses. One is not something the town has on their agenda, which would be higher density housing, retail, restaurants. There's benefits, but there's also, risks there's liabilities to that. So I think that's one option on one far end, and the other end is what Gary brings to you tonight, which is the best allowed use, I would say. The medical drive right now on your way home down Calumet and look how many medical office and professional office spaces for lease. We don't need it. People think they're coming from Illinois, we're able to recruit them, but like Gary mentioned, since COVID, the Chicago, it's a ghost town. And so they're incentivizing people to stay there, and it's gonna be really hard for us to beat that incentive to bring them here. So I think you just have vacant buildings for a very long time. The tech campus, it's low impact on our community services. There's not gonna be much traffic. You're certainly not gonna have the outrage from some residents you would if you were putting, a bunch of restaurants and homes over there, right? It'd be pretty low key. I think getting the NIPSCO agreement to allow the community use on Fisher as a resident and tying in the Penske Greenway is huge for our community. It's something for us to get out and do and enjoy our community. So I think it adds, we know it would add to the tax revenue based on what the current allowance would be. So it's all up from what it currently is allowed, is the best summary I can say.
Thank you. Anybody else to speak on this petition? Going once, twice, close the public hearing component, bring it back to the commission.
Could I make a motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to defer PC 25-014, a proposed rezone to a planned unit development, Mara Technology Park, to October 14th, 2025, so the applicant may update the proposed technology park standards for bulk design and uses document, including all discussions and findings. Correct?
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Discussion? I'll start. What's missing from the technology park standards for bulk design and uses that needs to be updated? Isn't that state law?
No, sir.
No.
No. State law is the opportunity to develop a technology park. The standards are at your local level as a PUD. They essentially establish new zoning codes, and if there are missing items from the zoning code that they're proposing to operate under, staff is asking that they supply that. It's under the recommendations there and the different sections outlined and represented in the design guideline standards and bulk standards.
So are you talking about the PUD standards for the town zoning code that needs to be updated to include this technology component?
No, sir, I'm talking about the standards that were issued under this guidance over here. This is a document that guides your PUD recommendation to the town council.
And that's drafted by the petitioner.
Correct.
Okay.
That can be removed from and then continue to draw it as a separate item, couldn't it? Or does it all go?
That's the approval of the PUD itself that sets forth the requirement for development standards, just like if it was its own zoning district. So just like if it's an R1 or a C1 district, it sets forth what all of those requirements are. So such things as, your lot coverage has been discussed, lighting has been discussed, construction standards, all those things, if they are not in your PUD ordinance, your hands are tied in being able to enforce anything later on, because that is your zoning rules, if you will. Now, the development plan lays out what the proposal is for the lot or for each specific lot after it's subdivided, but it would fall back to follow what is in your PUD ordinance. So that, if those standards and those requirements are not in that ordinance, then you don't have, your default to say, comply with the zoning code becomes an issue because this is not contemplated in your zoning code. So heights and in size and what are some requirements there may not in turn meet the requirements of what are existing standards in the zoning code. And I can assure you that in the proposals that we've been drafting, it's not standards for data center. It's not, again, constantly changing, constantly doing, so it's right for a PUD, but it's also right to set those standards yourself as part of a PUD ordinance.
I just want to quickly add that in staff report, I've outlined different sections that are missing or require additional information. And the one discussion that I picked up on from some of the commissioners this evening is section G and H of the book, design standards and guidelines, which is the materials and design. This is your opportunity to put forth recommendations of what you'd like to see and not a to be determined document. It is what your expectations are as part of this redesign.
So we should be looking at this document
Absolutely.
as fine tooth
This is the document.
and be ready for next time.
Yes.
So that's why we're.
As your zoning code, look at it as though you are drafting the requirement, development, use, bulk standards, all of that for essentially, I mean, it is a new zoning district that you get to custom design.
So we all have some.
So wait a minute, are you saying that the planning commission has a responsibility to build that document?
Always do with the PUD. That is your ability to do what you want to do in this town. It just isn't taken advantage of very often because it requires, right, tedious attention that way that, yes, staff can do, but the default back to that is going to be, right, relying on your other standards that are already in your ordinance. So if the idea is that that has been approved previously or recommended by planning commission and approved by the council, then that's routinely where it falls back to, so the consistency within the community.
So having spent a lot of time on these documents of previous PUDs in the community, it seems that they all come back and get renegotiated anyway.
That's the point of trying to avoid this, is if you do not.
That's based on the market, though. That's not based upon what we think is best looking today.
Well, but it's not just best looking, it's everything.
What
right?
kind of door to get in, what kind of access, whether it's screening, what kind of landscaping, I
You're getting
mean.
more than just development, you're getting into screening and all of those things, which is why most often the default is the zoning standards, because in most situations, right, when it's a commercial development applies, when it's a residential development applies. But when there's something that's more creative or allows you to be more creative, here's where you need to do it. Otherwise, it does fall back to those things. And if they don't apply, then they're coming in for variances, and it's not to you. It's to the BZA.
Correct. Right, and a lot of it's driven by the market. I mean, if Amazon has a different view of what they want to see versus pick, Alphabet, then they
That's
come
assuming you
through.
let them do that.
Right, if you want to do all these nice things economically, to be able to have it happen, I agree.
No, that's gotta happen now. That's all
No,
part
and
of
then
what.
they have a difference and they're gonna come in and write the check, Ms. Bennett, they'll come in and write the check, where we'll go through all of the aspects of the BZA, do all the variances, be able to have that particular tenant come in there and be part of the community.
Now, you're getting to different processes and procedures now, that doesn't necessarily change the ordinance. That might change for other, incentives, but that doesn't automatically change the ordinance.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
I got this on Friday, been out of Canada, flew back today, haven't had a chance to digest 100%. Ms. Bennett, Sergio, are you telling us you intend to go through this in red lines and stuff with that, what you do on this, or just?
We intend to review the documents that are submitted by the applicant, any updates and shared with the commissioners, and receive any feedback the commissioners may offer and share with the applicant as recommendations to update and present the document next month.
So right now, we're just approving this PUD to a technology center so they can start working together and get this baby going. Correct?
No,
I'm deferring.
That's not what Ms. Bennett just said.
it's a deferral for 30 days to allow the applicant to update the required sections as requested to create the document that would allow this technology park to move forward. So, many times you have developments that occur that have, weak or poor or not sufficient thoroughly thought out, plan or guidelines. And then they return for amendments where the staff says, I can only do what you put forward as your guidelines. But then what staff is the one that's hearing the, oh, why are you taking so long? What's the problem? Well, the problem is there was a process. Because you didn't think this process through. You'll provide the guidelines to help this development expedite the process, to facilitate it through the review process.
So I read the motion correctly.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Well, and then are you saying that at the October meeting, the bulk of that would be, we would be making decisions on that in October if we have this?
If the applicant submits the updated.
No.
Plans.
Okay, so for continued discussion,
That's the motion to defer, yeah, to get over for further information to be done from.
with no real determination on their trajectory as far as time beyond that.
Well, it's going to depend on how
Okay.
quickly that moves to the process, right? How quickly that those modifications or proposals will change. It doesn't mean that it can't be amended at a later point, but it's a much more difficult task. Once you've given the green light and then ground breaks, right? And then you have infrastructure going in and you have layouts and you're, or even obviously the planning process, all that has happened, but jumping ahead to that once it gets to that point, that then when Amazon or somebody comes in, you're already confined within some of those things that you're limited on what you can impose at that point.
Understood.
There seems to be some kind of confusion.
So,
I'm hearing
so we have a
both.
motion in this, we have a motion and a second, we're in to defer. And we're in discussion about that particular motion, and my question was what needs to be updated, and it seems to me that the primary thing that needs to be updated is, what is this, the bulk design and use document?
It's the PUD ordinance. It's the PUD ordinance that sets forth all of those. Like I said, it's a creation of a new zoning code. So everything, every standard requirement, and rule about this development.
Okay, so hold on a second, folks, we got a motion and a second, is there any other discussions?
Is that what you wanted?
Either
No,
none?
Can I make a comment? Yeah.
No, we're in the middle of this, I'm sorry, so we got a motion and a second, any other discussions?
I think we need clarification on the motion.
Yeah, let's get clarification.
All right, so what clarification do we need?
Exactly what is the motion?
The motion is to defer PC 24-014, a proposed rezone to a planned unit development, Kenmara Technology Park, to October 14, 2025, so the applicant may update the proposed technology park standards for bulk design and uses document, including all discussions and findings. That's my understanding of the motion that has a second to which we now have discussion. Now let's defer to me. What that means is we're moving this along to next month.
Is that what the applicant wanted? That's all.
No.
Okay,
That's not what we're asking for.
Okay.
okay. So we gotta,
So you have a motion and a second, so.
could I pull back that motion?
The second, no.
Okay,
I thought you could, if the seconder pulls it back, cannot do.
Can't we just all vote against it and continue discussion?
yes,
Yes.
let's just have a call vote.
Commissioner Brannigan.
What to do first?
Good question.
We're gonna.
We're
review this.
names, right? And then we're gonna.
No.
Councilor Hopple. No. Commissioner Jones.
No.
Councilor Nellens.
No.
Commissioner Rathman.
No.
Councilor Schinkin.
No.
Commissioner Baker.
No.
Okay.
All right, start again.
Okay, so the applicant is going to come back to us with, if we were to defer, the applicant would come back to us with the standards for bulk design. But if we defer, that gives us the opportunity to go through what they've already submitted and say what we want. Nicole.
They want you to approve what is the draft that is in front of you, and then modify it later through development plans.
And we just talked about that. So were saying that.
Because what they
Yeah.
presented, right, is what's in front of you now, for you know, the public hearing has been on. So a motion to approve the document as exists is an approval of this PUD as laid out, and then they'll proceed from there, moving forward with the planning, and, tweaking from there, you know, where they want to, but then that would be coming back. Right?
Mr. Schenken.
Yes. Why wasn't that written like that?
Well,
Because that wasn't the recommendation for our staff.
Yeah.
Staff wants more time, staff wants more information. I understand it's not what the petitioner wants at this point, but
And we also want more time to go through this, the standards for bulk design. There's a whole section on here, building materials and standards, section F is building size, section G is building materials. I feel like that's.
So Mr. Warfield, now it's your turn.
Great, thank you. I think we would all be remiss not to think that we come back with multiple revisions of a development plan, and just like every other PUD that's done in the town. How many times have we been in front, or not us, but how many times have you all listened to amendments, PUD amendments, and we do this all the time? Well, I don't care whether it's Centennial Park or whether it's, you know, Howard's Health or whatever.
Business Center.
Lake Business Center. That's the beautiful thing about PUDs. They're flexible to allow that for the town to review these standards as we go. We can't even look, we've been trying to do this for 4 years, right? We can't even begin to bring the value to the town if we don't start out with a PUD that allows us to take this project to market and start having discussions about technology park. If you want to kick this thing to the next month, it's going to go way beyond that. And, you know, maybe we'll just focus on other projects and other sites because, you know, it's taking too long. This should not be a complicated process.
So the
Gary,
motion
you
should
would
be,
agree, he would agree, as I understand, that no development plan can be approved until and unless the bulk standards are tailored at that time. So we would make the agreement that nothing happens. Because right now, we could be designing for a biotech, we could be designing for somebody who makes chips. Right now, we could come up with, I mean, we'll put ourselves into an 8-month process trying to come up with standards for things we don't know what's coming here. I think if you have the requirement that nothing can happen on this site until and unless these standards are as you'd like them, and then you see, okay, we've got, this is what is coming, then you can approve standards that maybe for, you know, a building that's this versus a this versus a that. I think with glass, you know, it's just hard to imagine all the permutations right now.
I assume we're gonna want to see a traffic study, make sure there's not 50 dock doors in the building, you're gonna want to see some
Absolutely.
study and.
Yes.
so you just want a simple motion to make this into a PUD.
Exactly.
That's all, could I make a
So you can go
motion
to the market, say it is a PUD technology park.
What's gonna be adopted.
so that's what I'm asking, is it then how do we amend this to allow for that?
You have the hook in it.
We're agreeing nothing can be developed on this site until,
Can we,
I don't know, I would think that's.
You're making a blanket PUD and things are gonna be redrawn, reshaped,
Yeah,
things will be presented, all that stuff to talk about later on as well.
so we're agreeing that nothing can be developed there until you've done the refinement, as opposed to we adopt something now and then we wiggle in and fit something. That would be the concern, right? That, oh, well, the PUD allow, or the bulk standards allow this, and so now they put a big Amazon warehouse. That's not what we wanted. But we say nothing goes there. That could be part of the approval, I would think, until the commission decides specific design standards at that time.
And I think we even,
I would think, I mean,
I would think even years ago with Centennial Village, Bill, I think we tweaked some of those developmental standards.
doesn't mean it was done properly.
I know, yes.
yeah.
Please don't get me.
You're not a lawyer, I'm just finding
Another
out.
one, I mean,
hey, can we make this so that they can move forward and we can still get the control? Can we amend this so that it allows them to go forth?
Yeah.
Have the
Well-
discussions, but still protect the interest that the town has in developing this property appropriately, but maybe based on
That was
who
your
they're
first
talking
motion.
to.
That was your first motion, allowing them to take this document back, change the language to reflect what they're wanting to actually accomplish, and then bring it back for consideration and recommendation.
So we can't change the language in tonight's
We can
motion
make a motion.
that could accomplish that succinctly, you know? I'm not trying to be argumentative.
I'm just picking up, Ms. Bennett is right, it is a zoning ordinance, usually you pick up because it
It's
is,
a bunch though. I'm looking at the
it's a lot,
application,
right?
But I'm looking
Yeah.
at the application that the petitioner presented with all of the attachments and are asking this commission to approve that request and A, B, C, D, E, what is it, 10, 12 attachments. So what, with all due respect, what the petitioner is asking and you're representing is to approve this. But then add the caveat that it's approved, but nothing is really going to move forward or happen, so it's in theory to come back and do this all over once you have lessees.
what if he approves the extent of the approval would be the uses contemplated by the technology park as defined in the statute, limited to that approval at this time, subject to before any development taking place, that specific bulk standards be presented at that time for approval. And then you're not tied to,
Any of the other.
yeah,
He wants to be able to market it.
Understood.
Yes. We appreciate the realtors here to help us market it.
we get that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to discourage, you know, something that's been 4 years in gestation to,
I'm gonna say, I think we get it, but we need to have the verbiage.
right. We need the mechanism.
I thought I heard tonight somebody say, just because it's on the plan doesn't mean it gets approved.
Yeah, but that's also the harder, you know, the ounce of prevention versus the pound
Then
of
you get the
cure.
lawyers like us way again.
Lawyer ratings.
You guys are it, man, I'm not. What? You guys are it. Maybe those guys are it. Trying to make the motions.
Well, we're
Well, we're waiting.
waiting for legal counsel.
Wait for verbiage.
How we can proceed.
We go with the view.
Well, I don't want to- I don't want to go and
No, I don't.
bring money to our town, but I also have to control.
Track two, we will not include within the definition of, I'm sorry, track two, the north parcel. Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe Stevie wrong.
So that's to the north parcel, which is not subject to building developments within the Kenmar. Why is it included as part of this PUD rezoning?
If it's not gonna be
If
part
it's
of the
not part of
building.
it.
It is not part of the PUD. It's.
But it's
Gary,
referenced.
I know, Gary's showing me to show that it's.
We had that discussion earlier, and that's why we pulled it out. It's just the south.
Still referenced
But it's in the
in,
bulk standards.
it's still referenced in.
I'm
the
just trying to
ordinance.
clarify. We want to move forward with this. I'm just trying to
Yeah, no,
clarify.
yeah.
So track two is not part of it. It would
Not
be-
part of the standards, no, not part of the approval of the PUD technology park. We discussed the pond to say what we're going to do with it, but it won't be part of this PUD.
So is it fair to say, not exactly sure on a document, then what would be approved, but is it fair to say then that to proceed forward on today, a petition to rezone tract one only to PUD for the uses set forth as identified in Indiana Code 36-7-32. I'm not sure what subsection it is,
Added.
1 or 2, whatever it is.
Well, it may be, but it might also, might even just say.
36-7-2 or 36-7-32.
Yeah. If we say that.
And you know that they're gonna lose
Yep.
that.
Yep.
That works.
Does that work?
Yes.
For tract, so that, obviously, all these documents are considered as part of this, but if fair to say, or I don't want to speak for you, but an amendment request tonight for the plan commission to make a favorable recommendation to approve a rezone on tract 1 only as defined in the documents. For a technology center as
Certified technology park per Indiana
As
code.
defined by.
that's what the word, certified technology park pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-32. With all other bulk standards, additional uses, conditions, et cetera, to be determined
Be presented.
at a later, at a later date, which is going to in and of itself prevent any construction from moving forward because there are no dwellings.
Yeah, that works. And then we can do work
I
study
would-
session.
Piece by
We all want the same things. It's just
Yeah.
getting
It's just getting it there, and I'm looking at everything as a whole.
We'll say now.
If that is.
Can we put a jumpy
Look it up.
house there?
living by example.
Can we put a jumpy house on there?
We can add that use too, if you'd like,
And the north parcel.
Then I,
Floating.
tract 1 only.
Oh, like they do in lighting.
If that is fair, then, or if that is, I'm not, sure that that is what
Yes.
would accomplish in proceeding forward, then I believe.
Yes, that works.
I are in favor of that.
You want me to read that? That's a good one.
Yeah, make the motion of what she just said.
but yeah, make the motion of what,
Yeah, can I just make the motion of what you just said?
And then what Nicole said.
And it would just to clarify with that, though, that it would make the motion to approve, or I'm sorry, to make favorable recommendation to the town council for a zone change from,
CD4B.
Et cetera.
thank you, CD4B to, a PUD for a certified technology center.
Park.
Park.
Certified technology park.
Certified technology
And
park.
the junky house.
Yes. As set forth in Indiana Code 36-7-32. Only
Only, I make
for
that.
all other bulk standards, uses, et cetera, to be
I make that.
determined.
and I'll second that motion as stated.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Since we're not gonna build buildings on the middle of a lake, that's good. Anything else? Wow, I love the
Amen.
negotiations. Mr. Mendoza.
Commissioner Brannigan,
Yes.
Counselor Hopper.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Counselor Nellens,
Yes,
Commissioner Rathman,
Yes.
Counselor Schinkin,
Yes.
and Commissioner Baker.
Yes. Thank you, sir. And off we go.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we have no more business. Next up is the findings of fact, the PC 05-004, certificate of an amendment. Ryan Zenni of Steiner Homes requested a change of address for lot 22 Community Resources Phase 1 from 10117 Allison Road to 441 Cheddar Drive. I'm really sorry I missed that.
Chairman, make a motion to approve the findings of fact.
There's a motion and a second. And a second, any discussion, be there none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, be there none, any continued discussion items? Be there none, next regular meetings, October 14th, 2025, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Thank you very much for helping Munster be a great community.
Peace be with you all.
Yeah, pretty lively discussion there.
Now this goes to the town council.
Guys.
Mr. Yanni. 58 seconds.
And then you interrupted and talked more.
Well, that,
You too.
I'll come with you.
Thank you for doing what you guys do.
You do it all the time.
You said you were gonna do something, and now you're fast tracking.